In this video, I'd like to talk about why people like retiring in the Philippines, and particularly Americans really love retiring in the Philippines. So I know I'm younger, that's quite obvious. I'm not of retirement age. However, many people, even my dad, is considering actually retiring in the Philippines. As well as when I went to the Philippines a couple times, I met mostly old retirees, primarily from the US, but a little bit from Europe, who really shared why they enjoy it so much there. So I thought I'd share it in this video. Maybe when I go back to the Philippines, I'll record an interview of one of them and share it directly from their mouth on the channel. But for now, let's get into the video. So the first reason why so many of them like it so much is, well, the Philippines is a very English-friendly country. So pretty much everyone in the Philippines speaks English now, and they speak it to quite a good level. So you don't, like some countries, you go to Thailand or something, a lot of retirees in Thailand as well, lived there a couple years as well. And well, there you can get by without learning Thai or speaking Thai. However, you're excluded from a lot of the activities. You're not really included with the locals as much. And it is a little bit harder to get by, particularly when you get out to the countryside. If you're in one of the big cities of Thailand, it's relatively fine. But when you go to the countryside, smaller towns, it gets a bit harder. So that problem doesn't really exist in the Philippines. You can go to the smallest town, on some small beach town of even 500-600 people, and you'll still find people who speak English. It's just very common. Everyone learns English. Pretty much everyone knows English and can understand you, speak to you. It's very good, and really, there's not really another country in the world that's a low cost of living that has this level of English fluency. So, let's get into that. The cost of living. So the cost of living in the Philippines is one of the lowest of any real retiree destination. It's really quite low. You can spend just, I'd say about, like what I was talking with my dad with, it was about $1,000 to $1,500 a month. You can live a really good lifestyle. So this is not really, I'm not really speaking about the big cities of Manila, because my dad, as well as most retirees, aren't really into staying in like Manila. But if you stay a few hours outside of Manila in the countryside, or one of the smaller towns, or you go to one of the islands is where most retirees prefer, then spending $1,000, $1,500 a month, you're going to live very comfortably, very good, and you're not really going to be stressed about anything. So it's really a good sweet spot, and compared to other countries, it's one of the cheapest. Thailand is one of the only other places in the area where it is quite affordable to retire, and they have a good visa program. So yeah, but Philippines, the visa program in my opinion is a little better, a little easier, and they're just generally more open, and they enjoy having retirees more than like a place like Thailand. As well as the cost of living, like for what you're getting, the lifestyle, I believe is quite a bit better in the Philippines actually. And I was just talking about the environment. So like I was talking about the like islands and stuff like this where most retirees go. So these places are really uniquely peaceful and nice. So that's another thing about the Philippines. They have tons and tons of islands. I think it's over 10,000 islands in the Philippines. Quite a bit of them are quite big. So maybe 20 really big islands where you wouldn't even think of it is an island because it's so big. And these offer a really good quality of life where you don't have tons of like food traffic and a lot of noise or anything like this. They're just really good, relaxing places with good air, good environment, good beaches, and really friendly people. So that's another thing. The environment for retiring, in particular in the Philippines, or just enjoying life, is really exceptional. But those are really just some like material conditions. One thing that really attracts people and keeps people staying in the Philippines is the Filipino people. So the Filipino people are one of the friendliest peoples in the entire world. The only people that really compare, in my opinion, are Nepali people, who are also super, super friendly. But Filipino people are also super, super friendly. They're super helpful. They're very kind and courteous, and they're like very trustworthy. They're hardworking people. So when you're in the Philippines, I don't know, it's one of the things I really like about it is the people. They're carefree yet hardworking. They're kind and generous and very helpful, but sometimes they don't even have a lot, they don't have a lot to give, but they will give what they have to help people out. Like, that's the thing. Filipinos, I don't know, they're just some of the best people in the world. It's hard to really put it exactly into words, but when you go to the Philippines and you experience it, so if you're considering retiring in the Philippines, I'd recommend going there on a short trip, a couple month trip, 2 months. Just book a round trip ticket, go there, see how it is, and then go back. And then decide if you want to really move there. But when you go on that trip, you'll really understand what I mean with Filipino people. They'll help you out multiple times. They'll be very kind, very courteous, and really, I'm sure you're gonna really fall in love with Filipino people. Another thing people really like is like, when you're in the Philippines, you don't really have to care about politics too much. So you go to the Philippines, people know of the US, of course. A lot of people really like the US or the idea of the US. So they have like a high image of the country, as well as most Western countries. So they treat people very well from there, and they look up to it kind of. But that's one thing that's also advantageous. When you're retiring there, you don't really have to think about any of the politics, any of the things going on, because the Philippines, they have their own political situation going on. They don't have a lot of the, let's just say, very controversial topics that the US deals with or Europe deals with. They're not raising taxes in a big way. They don't target foreigners for taxes also. They're not doing any woke policies. They don't care about, or they don't allow like abortion or anything like this. They don't have anything that troubles a lot of retirees. You just can you go there to the Philippines and you can just forget about politics. You don't have to think about what's going on in the US, you don't have to think about what's going on locally, and there's just not too much that's going to shock you or really disturb you in the Philippines. So that's another thing that's really nice. You go there, you can just forget about it. And to me, I like being able to forget about politics. People also really like the food in the Philippines. So personally, I don't like it as much, but that's because I'm weird. I eat like vegetarian food and stuff like this. I don't like meats and stuff, but if you like that sort of stuff, so most Americans do, especially retirees, like my dad absolutely loves that sort of stuff, then the Philippines is pretty much paradise for you. They have tons and tons of like flavored different meats, as well as street food, and just they really like their meat and they really enjoy it, and they make it in a lot of different ways, and it's ways that seem to really be appealing to pretty much all the American expats and retirees that I met. Actually, thinking about it, I can't really think of anybody who didn't like it. I was the only person who was like, I prefer the food in somewhere else, like Thailand or China. So really, the food there in the Philippines, well, it's not for me. Most people really will enjoy it, especially retirees. But you know what, that's enough about like all the reasons people enjoy the Philippines and like it. I have a few more videos on the channel about it if you want to check out like regarding island life and stuff and countryside life more, where like places most retirees would go. You can check that video out somewhere like here or something. I'll link it. But yeah, that's enough of that. Let's talk about visas and like how you can actually go now. So the visa situation is quite easy for the Philippines. It's one of the easiest ones in the entire world. So you don't really have to hire some like visa agent and pay them lots of money or something like this. You don't really have to go do like check-ins every couple months with the police. It's not like that like it is in a lot of countries like Thailand or a lot of Central and South America. It's not complicated. For the Philippines, you pretty much, you just fly over and you'll show up on a tourist visa, probably visa-free. And so you just fly in, you don't even need to apply for a visa at an embassy, nothing like that. If you're from the US or Europe or some well-developed country, you just fly in, you get a visa on arrival, usually 30, 60, or 90 days, and then you can just enjoy the Philippines for that time. But if you want to apply for the retirement visa, you're going to want to contact one of the like authorized agents, ideally. You can also just walk into the Philippines Retirement Authority and they'll sort you out. But really, it's better to use one of the authorized agents. So one of them I've heard quite a bit about. I'll link a channel down below regarding like retiring in the Philippines. It's someone who does this a lot and really helps a lot of people out. But he recommends, I believe it's Mary Rose, to help out with the Philippines retirement visa. So basically, you fly into the country, she'll meet you or his team will meet you and sort you out. Like drive you around, get all these specific documents. You can do it yourself otherwise, but to me, I don't even think he makes money doing it. He's just a fellow retiree who just enjoys it and enjoys meeting people and helping people out through the process, because I guess it was a little difficult for him or something when he first did it. But anyhow, he lives in the Philippines, does that, yeah. You just fly into the country, you can meet him or do it yourself, or meet the agent, do it yourself. The agent's free, from what I've heard, just you gather a few documents, get a health check in the Philippines, maybe get a background check if you didn't bring it with you. And then you just go to the Philippines Retirement Authority, submit the documents, and you get a retirement visa. As long as you meet the requirements of being being of retirement age and having a good health record where you don't have any infectious diseases you might spread in the country, then you're good to go. They give you a retirement visa. It costs a couple $100 for the bureaucratic processing fees, like the government fees, and well, that's that. You get a 1-year visa that's renewable for the Philippines. So it's very easy, very straightforward, and cheap. And before we get into where people are moving in the Philippines, I'd like to address one more thing. So my dad, he collects Social Security. He's older, and he's on he's at retirement age, so he's collecting the benefits. I forget exactly which ones, as well as health insurance. So when you go to the Philippines, there is one thing you need to really be aware of. So you will continue to collect your Social Security benefits and stuff like this. And this is not an issue whatsoever. The only issue is when you go over to the Philippines, you're not going to really be able to use the health insurance you have from the government in the US, or at least not all the time. So there are certain circumstances where you can actually use it, but generally, what I'd recommend is probably just getting a local health insurance there. It's not nearly as expensive as in the US. You might be paying a few $100s a month. But regardless, if you get to that point, you're going to probably want to talk to one of the retirees there and get specifically what they're doing and just follow what they're doing because they've already sorted it out for you. So yeah, let's move on to where people actually prefer to retire in the Philippines. So that's going to really be, a lot of people like centering themselves around Cebu City, not in the city though. So Cebu City is like a medium-large city in the Philippines. You're probably not going to want to be there. It's okay, but large cities in the Philippines are not the best place, in my opinion. You're usually going to want to go to one of the large cities, and then you take a ferry, usually a couple hours, on a boat. A big boat, mind you. It's a safe, big boat, out to one of the islands, or one of the smaller places. So one place near Cebu City that has a direct connection to, I believe, is Dumaguete. This is one of the most popular places for retirees in the Philippines, and it's quite good. It's a small enough town where it's not too busy, but it's big enough where you have pretty much all the services. You have a lot of restaurants and stuff, and a little bit of foreign products and everything, and quite a bit of other retirees, but also, of course, tons of Filipinos. But it allows you very easy access to the airport in Cebu City, as well as just shopping. If you need to buy anything in specific, you can get it there. So that's like a good example. I'd recommend looking it up on Google Maps and seeing the size and the population and all this, because this is one of the best examples where you want a town usually around this size. Because if you go too much smaller, it can be a little hard to get certain medications. Versus Dumaguete, it's very easy. But if you go to too much smaller of a town, it can be harder to get certain services, medication, doctor sort of stuff. So a city like that. Another area and stuff of the Philippines a lot of people center around is, I believe, called Iloilo. And not really Iloilo the city, but the region around there. So yeah, that's really my advice. But you can also go to the countryside, outskirts of Manila, few hours away from Manila, really. So one of the smaller towns or in the mountains nearby, and the quality of life there is very good. I lived there for many weeks, and I met some retirees who also live there. So yeah, it's overall a pretty good place as well. So once again, before I close out the video, I just want to repeat, if you are thinking about actually going through the Philippines retirement process or want to check it out, or have any questions regarding getting the visa, the channel I'd recommend following would be the Philippines Info channel. So this channel is ran by some retired guy, I believe a retired American guy, who lives nearby Manila, and I don't know, he pretty much just talks about this on his YouTube channel, and I know he's helped out a lot of expats that I met in the Philippines when I was there. So him, I think if you want him to help you out with the documents or whatever, I think it might be $100 or something, because he drives out there and has lunch with you, maybe buy him dinner or something, but because I don't think he really makes any money from that. And then he recommends someone, I think it's called Mary Rose. You could message him about that, or maybe I'll post a link down below if I can quickly find it. But those are the two resources I recommend if you're going to be retiring in the Philippines. I don't really have any connection with him. I've never even spoken to the guy, to be quite honest. But I've met many retirees who highly recommend him. I've seen him here on YouTube, so yeah, I figure just might as well give you that direction. But yeah, that's going to be all for the video. If you have any thoughts or questions about retiring in the Philippines, or you just want to know more about my experience in the Philippines, feel free to leave comments about that down below. But with that being said, bye-bye.